So we're going to look at building 3 simple screens: the events page, the social screen, and also the about, maybe even a contact screen. Really simple stuff in this video. So if we look at events first, this is a fully finished app here. We just have a details screen with some description up at the top and then an inline list at the bottom. And if we go into one of those items, each of those items is pretty simple with just a sign up link. And that takes you out of the Glide app and goes somewhere else. And my thinking with this is just that it will be a link to a Zoom meeting or something like that. So you can do whatever you want with this page. So let's go and build this. We are going to go to Glide and we're going to create a new tab and we're going to call it, we'll call it events, and we'll also choose live home, right? And this is the live home sheet in our sheet is a very, very simple sheet with basically nothing on it apart from an image and some text. And that's because we're going to be building a details screen and then we're going to put an inline list on it. So it doesn't need to be complex. So we're going to change this title of this screen to be events, or you could call it live, as I did in the app. And we're going to go over, well, let's change the icon as well to this. And let's go over to the layout and change it to details. And we can delete this title. And if we look at the fully finished template, what we have is a nice image up at the top there. So we're going to add the image component, kind of acting like a header or something. So we'll choose image and we'll choose a small ratio up at the top. And there we go. We then want to add a text component. And again, this is pulling back that pattern that we've had before of a nice H1, kind of a big header in the middle, and we'll call it live events. And then if you wanted to have some kind of other stuff underneath here, like a kind of a bit of description, you can also do that. So here in this one, this is the fully finished template. I've just written it inside of Glide. And this is just a reminder that the text or the strings or the data in your app doesn't have to always come from the sheet. So in this text component, I've added a custom value. So let's do that in this app that we're making now, the rebuild. So I'm going to duplicate this text component here, and I'm going to go inside of it, and I'm going to choose the style of the footnote that we've seen so often in this app. And instead of pulling from a column in our sheet, I'm going to choose custom, and then I'm going to copy and paste that text there. And then we have that in there. So sometimes you might want to build that way. You might want to just enter text straight from within the builder and not have to go back to Glide. So next we need an inline list, okay? So I'm going to choose inline list. And seeing as we're pulling all of the results from the events page, we don't need to create a relation here. We're just showing the data from another tab or another sheet in our spreadsheet. So I'm going to choose the source sheet of live events, and I'm going to turn it into the calendar layout. And you can see that Glide's found the dates in our sheet, and it's kind of created a pretty good layout for us. So I'm going to change this, get rid of that. And all we need to do now is go onto one of those details screens and customize this a little bit. So I'm going to get rid of the link here and link here, and I'm going to add a button. And this button is going to have the action on it of open link, which is great. And I'm going to make sure that it's opening, and it is opening the link in our sheet. So all we need to now do is change this. So sign up. So now when users click this link, they'll go to whatever link is in the live event link here, right? So at the moment, the dummy content that we have is just Glide's website, but you could put like a Zoom link in here or a webinar link or whatever you want. Okay, so that is it, I believe. Let's check. Date, description, yeah. So next we need to build our about screen. So I'm going to add a new tab, and I'm going to choose about as the source. And I'm going to change this to about, and I will change the icon to be question mark or something like that. That looks good. So now we go to the layout, and we're going to change it to a details layout. Okay, and I'm actually going to just delete everything. So let's go over to the about screen in the finished app and see what's going on here. I'm going to go to the menu and click on the about screen. So what we've got here is a nice centered image that's not got any, it's just a centered image with transparency. And what that means is that usually when you add the image component, you see a block, a square or a rectangle, or in list layouts, you'll see like circles and stuff like that. And what we've got here is we've got an image which is a block, but it's got transparency. And if you know a little bit about design tools, you know that you can do this. So here I am in Figma, and I've just taken an icon or a vector that I found from FreePic, which is a place where you can find free image files so long as you attribute the author. And I've put it in here inside of this kind of rectangle. And you can see that it's got transparency. If we download this and we open that image, we'll see that there's no content behind it. So this is what we're using in this image component here. It's just a nice little design tool or feature that you can use, or technique that you can use in your apps. So if you have an icon for your app here, make sure that you have a transparent background and you put it in the center, and then it kind of floats in front of the page, which is quite nice. So this is a technique that I saw Martin Bromley, one of our Glide experts, do along with the text layouts. He had one of his apps, the Coach app on the template store, has this really nice layout of center aligned image, center aligned text, and a footer as well. So it's a really, really nice layout. And this page is really simple. We're just saying about the app. And you can add a contact form here as well. You could do that with a form button, or perhaps a link that takes people to an email. But we're just going to keep it simple in this app, okay? So I'm going to rebuild that really quickly. So we want an image. And the image component is really useful, actually. You don't have to choose a column in your sheet. Again, you can choose a URL. So I actually have the URL on my clipboard. And if I copy that in there, Glide's going to follow that URL to its location and then bring it back. And now we have it. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller by insetting with content. So it'll be a bit lower there. And I'm going to show the whole image. Great, next we need some text components. And this one we're going to make custom. We're going to write insiders, and we're going to make it center aligned as a heading 1. And then we're going to duplicate that component so that we keep the center alignment, but we're going to change it to footnote, or perhaps a regular, it's up to you. And we're going to choose, instead of a custom value here, we're going to choose a column that we have in our sheet, which is about. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate that. Again, change the style to be a footnote, and we're going to change that to attribution. So now we've rebuilt the about screen. Final one is the social screen, and this is also really, really simple, but there's a technique that we haven't quite covered yet here. So I've called this the social screen, I've called it Connect, and we just have the same layout that we did earlier pretty much, and then we have an inline list, but that inline list has the link action enabled. So instead of us going to the details screen of this item, when we click on it, we go to the link that's in that particular item. So let me just show you how to do that. We're going to go to our rebuild app. We're going to go tab, new, choose connect links, call it connect or social, whatever you want. And I'm going to go over to layout, change it to details. I'm going to delete these components here and do the same kind of text that we had before. So now we'll add our inline list. And we're going to choose social links or connect links here, right? So we want the image to be the image that we have in our sheet, which are these social links. And we're going to change the layout to be, let's say, tiles. And we're going to have 2 per row. It's going to be a square. So we'll see the whole image. Let's get rid of the name so that we just have the image, so it's obvious what's going on. And maybe we could change it to be a bit smaller, so it's kind of, they're a bit too big there, actually. And we'll get rid of the name of this list because I think it's obvious what these links will do. So next, what we want to do is we want to change the way that this list works. So by default, all list items view their details, and that just means go to the current row. We don't want this to do it because there's nothing in that row. All it is a link. So we're going to change the action to be open link, and then we'll choose link as the column, and Glide automatically found that for us. And then when we click on one of those items, it's going to take us to that link. So if we had, for example, if we go to our sheet and to our connect links, if we had, for example, in the Twitter column, Twitter, we would go to that link, okay? But it's a template, so we haven't put it all in there for you because you can just populate it yourself. So those are our 3 screens that we built. We've got the live screen, we've got the about screen, where you can also add a contact form if you want, or a form button, and then the connect screen. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to sort out all of these tabs because they're kind of building up at the bottom here and getting a bit full up. And we're going to move them into the app menu and then build our final kind of home screen. And we'll almost be done at that point.